Assassin, and I'm here today after a long time to do a review of Tower of God. And I'm going to start with the last chapter, chapter 264, or if you want, volume 2, chapter 184. So before we get into the chapter, please let me explain what happened with the Tower of God reviews. When I first wanted to review the Tower of God manga, because I think it's a manga, not a manga, the workshop arc was at half, so it was half into the workshop arc, and at that time I was up to date with Tower of God and I wanted to start from the beginning. I tried to do everything from the beginning, but I got to the point where I was almost done with the first half of Tower of God, meaning before Rachel pushes Bam into the abyss. So I was almost done with that, but because I was focusing on the past and reviewing chapters from the beginning, I couldn't read anymore, and as a consequence, I was not up to date with the manga. So the last chapter review I did, I think it was 8-9 months ago, and at that time I finished, as I said, I finished with the first half of Tower of God when Rachel pushes Bam into the abyss. But in the time I was doing the reviews, I didn't actually read any chapters, so I was way behind. Then I started with the other projects. Of course, I had work to do, and in my spare time I started with One Piece, Toriko, Rikudo, and I'm behind on Rikudo as well. So I didn't have the chance to get up to date with the Tower of God, but I did find some free time this past weekend at least, and I read like 100 chapters of Tower of God, and right now I'm up to date. But I realized that I can never catch up if I do the reviews from where I left, meaning when Rachel pushed Bam into the abyss. If I start reviewing from there again, I will never catch up to the manga. The manga may as well be finished and I will never catch up to it. So the only logical solution here is for me to review from this point on. And I'm sorry, but that's how it's going to be. I'm going to review this chapter and then next week the next chapter, and so on, like I do with all my other mangas. But I already talked enough, let's get into the chapter. So we pick up where we left off, and Rachel had Kun and his teammates circled, or should I say surrounded. And even though Kun is a very powerful guy, it didn't seem like he could fight and protect the sweet fish at the same time. So they had a problem, because running away was not an option, not with the sweet fish near them, because anyone could snatch it, and fighting was not an option either because they were overwhelmed. But of course we all know Kun has a plan. Kun always has a plan. Like in this manga, Kun never gets caught off guard. Never. You never see Kun get caught off guard. So I don't think anyone had any chills down their spine when they saw Kun being surrounded. I don't think there's anyone who had any chills, because he's always so composed and he always has a plan. So the plan in this case was that wherever they passed Kun and his team, they closed the door with $1. Yeah, I know, dollar, whatever, $1. And the probability that one of their teams, one of their allies would find those doors was a lot bigger, because as you know, Kun calculated that most of the enemy teams will be in front of them, so they could block them from reaching the core. And he was right, because the train director, or what, the conductor, that's what he did. He put the enemy teams in front of the Sweetfish team so they could cut them off, and Kun simply realized that. So he closed all the doors where they passed with $1, because the probability that one of their teammates would find those doors would be very big, because if the enemy is in front, then backward in the back are your friends. So of course the gator and the small child with the pillow, I don't know her name, they found those doors, they opened them, and of course it was like a straight way to Kun. Very simple and very smart. So now in terms of power, with the alligator and with this chick, they are pretty much the same. If they fight, they won't know who the winner will be. But fortunately for them, they could fight and Kun could run. And if Kun runs and closes the door behind him, then it's all over because they won't have enough dollars to open the door and Kun escapes with the fish, so it doesn't matter who wins the fight. So they're in a stalemate. I mean, not in a stalemate. Kun and his teams and his allies have the upper hand in running away. I know, it's funny. But of course, what Kun chooses to do is destroy Rachel both mentally and physically. He wants to finish her mentally. Like, he already established that he, in terms of physical skills, he was way above her. And he says, we all know that. And he says, in terms of brain capacity, I'm well above you as well. You know that. So the only thing that's left is luck. So let's decide this with a game of luck, of tossing the coin. So he attacks her both physically, not physically yet, but he does want to kill her. But he attacks her mentally. He just wants to crush her on all planes. Then we jump to Bam, or should I say Violet, whatever. We jump to Bam. I'm going to call him Bam. And he just got in front of Joaquin in order for him to save Danielle. So Danielle is behind him now, so Joaquin cannot strike Danielle. And Bam asks him a question. And of course the question was, what despicable thing could he have done that he fell from the Fog Slayer position? Because the Fog are pretty devious and pretty evil to begin with. So what could he possibly have done that was so evil, so unheard of, that he fell from the Slayer position? And I was wondering this as well. And Joaquin just responds casually, like, well, I needed some power and I have to kill a lot of people. I would say probably more than 1 billion. So this motherfucker killed 1 billion, probably more than 1 billion people to steal their souls and get more powerful. And right then and there, the girl from the Eon family, I forget her name. Anyway, the girl with the fire, she wants to attack Joaquin because he's crazy, so he struck a chord with her. And she makes like a flame in her hand and she wants to attack him, and then that flame suddenly goes away. She says he put the flame out, but we don't know who put the flame out. Was it Joaquin who put the flame out, or was it Bam? So she won't attack because Bam knows that if she's going to attack Joaquin in this state when he's 80% done, then she would be killed instantaneously. So probably it was Bam who put her flame out. I'm betting on that because Bam has found a power that no one else in the tower has found. We don't know what that is, but it has something to do with conquering your enemies and bringing them to your side. I think that would be my opinion. Anyways, so he puts the flame out and he's now face to face with Joaquin, and Joaquin says that his legend will begin again here, and it will start by cutting Bam's throat. And that's pretty much the chapter. Now I have to say that a couple of things could happen here. Like, for instance, the first thing that could happen, and I would love to see it, although I think it's unlikely, is that Bam defeats Joaquin in this state. Remember, Joaquin is not near his full potential yet. If I were to say right now, I think Joaquin is around 30% of his power, even though he got 3 of the doubles. He needs the 4th of the final double in order to break the spell he did in order to get his full power back. So I think with the 3 doubles that he has right now, he's at 30% of his strength. So he's not at full strength, although he's very powerful. And I think Bam could possibly defeat him now if he pulls that power he was talking with. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. A second possibility would be that Kun wins the coin toss. He wins the coin toss, he gets all the dollars from Rachel and the others, and he just goes straight for the core, and the game will be finished and Kun would have won. And by doing that, they will be teleported back, so Joaquin and Bam will not have time to fight right now. And remember, the final copy of Joaquin is at the conductor. The conductor has the final copy because he didn't want Joaquin to become whole, because of Joaquin was a previous God Slayer. So if he becomes whole, he's probably more powerful than the conductor himself. And if he becomes that powerful, then everything is fucked up. Nothing goes by the rules anymore. And that's not Fog's objective. Fog's objective is to see how much Bam can progress and how much he did progress until now, and to see if he can defeat a weaker version of Joaquin, because they know he cannot defeat a Godslayer. That's why they put the conductor to kidnap his last copy or his last brother, whatever. So if they get teleported away, we may see another round of the competition. The third possibility will be that Joaquin actually starts defeating Bam. I mean, he's not going to cut his throat right then and there like that. They are going to fight, but if Joaquin starts and gets the upper hand in the battle, then I don't think Yuri Jahard will stand by. And by the way, the bet that Yuri Jahard made with the conductor, that's shit. I mean, the conductor doesn't have the power to take Yuri Jahard's life, so what's the point? Because Yuri Jahard is a princess, a Jahard princess. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to kill the conductor, she can kill the conductor. Of course, she's not fast enough to do it because he will teleport her out of there, but there's no way she would die. No way she would die to him. So, something is going to happen in the future. I think that Joaquin and Bam will not fight right now, and Bam's team will win the game. So Bam will be declared the next Slayer nominee, and Joaquin will be out of the way. Of course, Joaquin will not take that decision lightly, and he will want to kill Bam. But right then and there, Joaquin will no longer be bounded by the rules of the train. And if he's no longer bounded because he's not a regular anymore, after they finish the game, then if the rules don't apply to him, then the rules don't apply to Yuri Jahard as well. Because if the conductor is going to leave a non-regular to mess with the regulars, Joaquin, then he might as well leave Yuri Jahard mess with Joaquin. Because if he teleports Yuri Jahard, he is supposed to teleport Joaquin as well. So we'll see what happens in the future, but the situation is pretty entangled right now. And yeah, I can't wait for the other chapter. Rate, comment, subscribe, and from now on, you will get these reviews weekly. Have a nice day.
Any rational society would either kill me or put me to some use.